Good morning. My name is Ryan Wynn, and I'm one of the assistant principals at Faribault High School. Welcome to the 2023 Veterans Day Assembly here at Faribault High School. It is my honor to introduce our Veterans Day Assembly today. Veterans Day has a special place in my heart. My family's fought in the Civil War, stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day in World War II, and served in Korea and Vietnam. Their experiences and sacrifices helped me be who I am today, and I'm thankful for them and every veteran. I will now turn over the podium to our Faribault Honor Society cabinet members for the remainder of the program. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Riley Sietzma, and I would like to welcome you to our Veterans Day Assembly today. As a veteran is any person who has served or is currently serving in the United States Armed Forces. Veterans are courageous, brave, and inspiring individuals. We are honored to live beside veterans on a daily basis. If you get a chance, be sure to thank these people today or any day for their service to our country. At this time, I would like to welcome the American Legion Post 43 to post our nation's colors. Please rise, take off hats and hoods, and remain silent.
Thank you, American Legion. When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner over 200 years ago, he called America the land of the free and the home of the brave. However, America has not always been free. The freedoms we enjoy today are a result of the sacrifice of the many veterans who have dedicated their lives to our country by serving in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. We can never repay the debt we owe to the brave individuals who gave their lives so we could have a better one. What we can do is take the time to recognize the 19 million veterans that are still with us. Thank you to all the veterans for making the United States the land of the free and the home of the brave. The music department will now lead us in our national anthem. Please rise, take off hats and hoods, and sing along. Thank you, musicians. This year marks the 50th anniversary of an all-volunteer force and the 75th anniversary of the full integration of women in the armed forces and the desegregation of the troops. Today is also the Marine Corps' 248th birthday. We celebrate Veterans Day on November 11th and honor all war veterans, but that has not always been the case. Please turn your attention to the video screens as we watch a short clip on the history of Veterans Day.
You probably know that every year on November 11th, Americans celebrate Veterans Veterans Day to honor the millions of men and women who have served or are serving in the nation's armed forces. But bet you didn't know the whole story behind the holiday. For starters, it wasn't originally called Veterans Day, but Armistice Day, to commemorate the truce signed between the Allies and Germany in World War I on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. The first Armistice Day in the U.S. was celebrated on November 11th, 1919. All business was suspended for 2 minutes starting at 11 a.m., and parades and public gatherings were held to commemorate the occasion. Later, America also began honoring its unknown soldiers on Armistice Day, a tradition that continues today. At 11 a.m. every Veterans Day, a color guard ceremony represents all branches of the military at the Tomb of the Unknowns in Arlington National Cemetery. In 1954, the name was changed to Veterans Day, following a national campaign to have the day honor all veterans, not just those who served in World War I. And did you know, for 7 years, Veterans Day was actually celebrated in October? In 1968, Congress moved Veterans Day to the fourth Monday in October so that government employees could enjoy a long weekend. But in 1975, President Gerald Ford returned Veterans Day to November 11th due to the historical significance, and that's where it sits on the calendar today. And do you know the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day? Both of them honor those men and women who have served in the military, but Memorial Day honors America's war dead, while Veterans Day honors all American veterans, living and dead. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates that there are currently over 21 million living military veterans in the United States. More than 16 million of these served during times of war, while 5.5 million served during peacetime only. So this Veterans Day, don't forget to say thanks to some of the millions of men and women who have served our country.
Our speaker today is Sergeant Jason Stroud. Sergeant Stroud has served in the military since 1997. He is an Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran and is currently a recruiting and retention NCO with the Minnesota Army National Guard. Please join me in welcoming Sergeant Stroud.
Don't worry, you don't have to fill out a lead sheet, and I'm not going to call you later. Promise. Most of you folks know who I am throughout the school. First, I'd like to recognize the Marine Corps on their birthday, because he's only told me twice since he came in the building. Appreciate that. Good to see you. One of the most important things is this great responsibility of any person who served to come talk to a large organization about Veterans Day. The first part of my speech was dedicated to the education aspect, but that video did a wonderful job, so we'll just move on. Most people don't know this. I didn't join like a traditional high school student. I joined at 20 years of age. Most people, when they join the military, they kind of have their own reasons. When I joined, I looked at that as an opportunity and a way to kind of start going towards the goals of my life. Now, when I did get to my basic training area, I did kind of realize, what did I just get myself into? I had about a 6'5" drill sergeant yelling across the campaign field, "Hey, you," and about 19 heads all turned towards that person. He came over to me, and I thought I was the one that was in trouble, and I ended up being the guy next to me. So thank God that dude got yelled at, right? That night I sat there and looked up the sky, and I thought to myself, boy, I don't know if I can do this. The big thing I learned quickly, though, at basic training was the importance of becoming a teammate. Most of you here are juniors and seniors, and throughout your day, you're looking how to help each other as fellow classmates, maybe fellow student athletes working on teams. One thing that we learned quickly in our area with our basic training or boot camp area is that primarily I'm there with 50 people I've never met before, and we need to figure this out within a day. So that was a huge aspect of my life I'd never faced, but I was very thankful. The other person that really made a big impact on my life was Senior Drill Sergeant Coran. You always think drill sergeants are there to just kind of make you miserable. He was one of those folks who saw potential in you. He would squeeze every ounce of that potential out of you. Trust me, it wasn't comfortable some days, but the reality is he was doing it for the betterment of me. And I always look back on those times in basic training as those were probably the happiest moments I ever had in a job. Never had to think, just had to do, and I got to make great friends along the way. Now, the following years, I was very fortunate to have multiple great mentors, every one of them teaching me lessons that I still apply to my life every day. And this is when I started realizing being a veteran wasn't someone who just served. You're becoming a part of something much greater than yourself, but more importantly, you're creating a network of people that will always be with you. Now, most of the folks who talk to me about my service, they always say, hey, Sergeant Stroud, what's the most beneficial thing you've gathered from all your years being in? And I'll tell you about a camaraderie. I want you everybody to look in the auditorium, look to your left and right. People next to you, some are friends right now. I know some of you are great people, but what I will tell you, and everybody that's out of high school will tell you, that these won't be your friends in 20 years. 20 years from now, you guys will move on, get married, have kids, and you become social media friends or Facebook friends, liking each other's posts but never really talking. It's different for us. We serve together, we will be friends forever. This is the type of family that we have that we can always depend on. And so when you ask me what it means to be a veteran, that is my biggest thing I always send home. That I never have to worry about it, that I always have that person to my left or right. I can tell you after 25 years of service, 2 combat tours, 4 trained jobs in the military, that I would never ever look back on the choices I made and regret them. And believe it or not, even though the Marines are here with me today, we're friends outside of the uniforms and even inside the uniforms. That's the camaraderie that I do talk about. It's amongst all branches, not just our own. The U.S. military is a selfless service. Selfless meaning that we do our job without expecting anything in return. For many times throughout the history of our country, the veteran's been called upon. We raise our hand and we say, send us. We'll take care of it. Whether it's here in our own country, in our own state, or anywhere else in the world. There's no other group of organization of individuals who've done greater things than the veteran themselves in the United States military. One thing I want to highlight, obviously with being the Minnesota Army National Guard, when you look around your own state, that veteran isn't just the active duty side of it, it's also the folks that do in the reserve and guard side. And the Minnesota Army National Guard is the 5th largest National Guard. Within the last 5 years, we've responded to COVID-19 with response teams. Over 500 National Guard soldiers volunteered to become certified nursing assistants to help out with the shortages in the nursing homes. We've been there for the civil unrest to restore order. So this big umbrella of veteran doesn't just mean the folks from World War II and World War I. We still recognize those before us, but always know that when you're throughout your community every day, there's a National Guard person that may not be in uniform, but they're ready to be there for you. I'd like to take time to recognize some of the Faribault High School alumni that have joined the Minnesota Army National Guard in recent years. That would include Sam Roeder, Ben Boyd, Tyler Boyd, Mark Abion, Carter Sitzma. That's your brother, right? Okay. And then also Braden Bakke, who's here with us today in uniform to say hi and catch up on y'all. My biggest thing is this. Being a veteran, if you ask any of us, means that you're living a life worth living. You have a chance to be a part of the history and help those that are in need, not only here in our community, but throughout the world. We have taken time today to thank veterans, but also please thank their families for their service to our great country. So for any of you that are listening to these words today and feel somehow that you want to be motivated, if you can see yourself being a person that wants to go help, take time to come talk to us and see if you can join our community of veterans so we can make you a part of our team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergeant Stroud, for your continued service and sharing your story with us. Many of us have grown accustomed to our freedoms we experience every day. Please do not forget that we have veterans and current members of our military who have fought and will continue to fight for you. We would now like to recognize those staff members and students who have served, currently serve, or will serve our country as a member of the armed forces. These are people you may see around the building at any time. Please feel free to recognize them and thank them for their commitment. As we call your name, please stand and be recognized. Thank you to our staff who has served. Mr. David Gretz, U.S. Air Force. Mr. Don Itis, U.S. Army. Mr. Corey Little, Army National Guard. Mr. Joel Olson, U.S. Air Force. Mr. Chad Prigge, Marine Corps. Mr. Joshua Shodin, Army National Guard. Mr. Michael Sloan, United States Coast Guard. Thank you to our students who will serve. Ethan Amundsen, Marines. Esteban Galvin Jr., Marines. Jose Rios, Marines. Pedro Romero, Marines. Kaya Schneider, Army National Guard. Noah Warren, Army National Guard. If we did not call your name, but you have served or plan to serve in the military, please stand to be recognized.
Thank you to those of you who have served and have committed to serving our country. Each year, the President makes a proclamation for Veterans Day, and the month of November is also known as National Veterans and Military Families Month. Part of the proclamation reads, "This Veterans Day, we honor the generations of women and men who have served and sacrificed, not for a person, a place, or a president, but for an idea unlike any other, the idea of the United States of America. For nearly 250 years, our veterans have defended the values that make us strong so that our nation could stand as a citadel of liberty, a beacon of freedom, and a wellspring of possibilities. This Veterans Day, may we honor the incredible faith that our veterans hold, not just in our country, but in all of us. They are the solid steel backbone of our nation, and we must endeavor to continue being worthy of their sacrifices by working toward a more perfect union and protecting the freedoms that they have fought to defend."
It is also very important to recognize the families of veterans who are making a sacrifice, along with those of their family members who are called to actively serve our country. One organization that works to support these families is MACV. MACV is a veteran nonprofit organization that provides services like housing, employment, and legal aid, and addresses the reasons for veterans' homelessness in order to create sustainable housing opportunities. This year, the Faribault Honor Society is contributing $400 to the mission of MACV. At this time, please welcome the music department again as they play a tribute to America. we would like to take a moment to remember all the soldiers who lost their lives in the fight for freedom. At this time, please rise and observe a moment of silence. I would like to thank the American Legion Post 43 for being a part of our assembly today. At this time, take your hats and hoods off and remain silent as the American Legion retires the colors.
Right face. Examine arms. Bare arms. Retrieve colors. Left face. A large arch.
On behalf of the Honor Society, I would like to thank you for your respectful attendance at today's program.